Good Friday morning, everybody, and happy Halloween. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to KEPR Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial-free in about 20 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to weather because it's a little bit of a cloudy day for today.
Yes.
Really indicative and giving the perfect ambiance for the Halloween holiday.
That's right. We might see a little bit of clearing this morning, but by the time we get to the afternoon and evening hours, definitely looking at those mostly cloudy skies. I would say today is the one day a year when people might hope for those clouds to add to that kind of spooky feeling of the day. Now, as we go into Saturday, we're not just going to deal with clouds. We're going to be dealing with a chance of widespread rainfall on Saturday. Winds are also going to be cranking up around the forecast area for the first day of the weekend. But by the time we get to Sunday, we are going to see those calmer weather conditions return. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines in greater depth coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Kennewick. A dramatic crash at Columbia Park this week led to 2 arrests and a dangerous road rage incident involving a gun. Kennewick police say a 20-year-old man spotted his ex-girlfriend driving in town Tuesday and started following her. Officers say he chased her car recklessly down State Route 240, eventually losing control and slamming into his ex. The impact sent her car through a fence near Columbia Park, and when the 20-year-old got out to confront his ex-girlfriend, police say a male passenger in her car pulled a gun and threatened him.
People got to calm down. I think people got to realize that they're driving expensive and heavy and dangerous machines, and that as soon as they let their feelings get involved in whatever's going on in their lives, it becomes dangerous, and lives could have been lost that day.
Police arrested both men, the ex-boyfriend for reckless driving and the passenger for having a stolen firearm. The woman was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Meanwhile, firefighters in Kennewick quickly contained a midday fire yesterday that sent flames shooting from a garage roof. At around noon, crews responded to reports of a house fire on the 500 block of South Edison Street. When they arrived, a detached garage was fully engulfed. Benton County Fire District 1 and Pasco Fire assisted and had the flames out in about 8 minutes. No one was home or hurt, say officials, and investigators are still looking into the cause.
During the daytime, it's always safer conditions for our firefighters. They're able to see conditions, work their way around obstacles. We had a great response with some of our utility partners. Everybody's on duty and available, so a really ideal situation.
Now, the fire department is reminding people not to overload extension power cords, one of the top causes of house fires. In Walla Walla, the man who opened fire on a Washington state trooper 3 years ago learns his fate as the trooper himself talks about the impact the shooting has had on his life as well as his family. It was September of 22 when Trooper Dean Atkinson Jr. was shot multiple times on West Poplar Street. Despite being shot in the face, though, Trooper Atkinson drove himself to the hospital. The man who shot him, Brandon O'Neill, sat silent in the courtroom as his family, the trooper's family and friends, and the trooper himself made statements before the sentence was delivered. O'Neill pled guilty to first-degree attempted murder as part of an agreement, and the judge sentenced him to nearly 26 years in prison. Trooper Atkinson addressed the court during sentencing, first thanking the medical staff in Walla Walla and Seattle for saving his life and describing the moments immediately following the shooting.
As I drove myself to the hospital and starting to realize the severity of the situation I found myself in, noticing the blood all over my uniform, I started fearing I would not survive. I remember telling medical staff at St. Mary's Medical Center, please don't let me die at least once that I can remember. Shortly after this incident happened, my family was informed that I was injured, and I can't imagine the fear and pain that they felt in that very moment. I also can't imagine what my family felt when they first saw me when they walked into the St. Mary's Medical Center. I assume they informed me that there was a chance I want to make it through the night, which I've been told by medical personnel that was very highly a possibility.
Now, while Brandon O'Neill was sentenced to just under 26 years in prison, he will get credit for the time he's been in custody since the shooting, meaning he'll still have to serve 22 years behind bars. In some healthcare news this morning, facilities in the Yakima Valley are about to expand even further with a new emergency room in Union Gap. KMA's John Franklin toured the facility and takes us with him.
Provides full service. We have ultrasound, x-ray, CAT scans, lab, pharmacy. And basically, again, anyone can present and with their medical needs, and we will get them the treatment they need.
Multicare came to Yakima in 2019. 4 years later, they started planning the neighborhood emergency room in Union Gap, and today, their expansion is completed.
And this is our first really expansion of our promise to expand access to care in a space that really needs being expanded.
Hospital officials say that they looked all across the valley and decided that Union Gap is the right place right now to place an emergency room.
There's been a lot of work working with our community members and leaders to get input on this neighborhood emergency department. I would tell you the response has been unanimously so excited and so happy to improve access.
Union Gap was the spot chosen for this emergency room because Multicare looked around the community and they thought this was the best place to serve the healthcare needs of the community. I think it will also help alleviate the pressure on their emergency room at their hospital in Yakima.
So our main campus emergency department is one of the busiest emergency rooms in the state. So we do think that people will, because of that volume, there'll be many patients who choose here. This is really giving people choice and access. They can figure out what's best for them as far as what's closest to their home and most convenient and go there.
For Action News, I'm John Franklin.
KIMA's John Franklin, thank you. The Union Gap Emergency Room opens on Monday at 9 in the morning and will be open 24/7. All of the details are up on our website, kimatv.com. On to some education news. While the Tri-City plans to build a new nuclear power reactor plant in the area, we're getting an in-depth look at how nuclear science programs are adapting to the new tech. At Columbia Basin College, new nuclear control systems are being taught so students are ready for cutting-edge reactor designs.
Some reactor designs, they use a hot gas instead of water, which is what we're used to. We're used to water-cooled reactors. And it's changing, and we want to prepare them for all those different types so that 10 years from now, because we're in a race with all these SMRs. So who's going to win? What's going to be out there? We want to prepare them with a background of all the different technologies.
Now, much of the funding for these expanded programs was provided by a $2 million grant from the Department of Energy with the goal of building a skilled workforce for new nuclear providers.
One of the strongest roles is building awareness for careers in energy. So whether that's nuclear or like I said, hydro, wind, etc. And so a lot of time is spent visiting the schools in the area. It's like Jason and myself have been to Kennewick High School already. We've been to Chiawana. Next week, I'm kind of living in the Richland School District.
Now, Columbia Basin College is not alone in this training boost. WSU Tri-Cities will house a simulator to help train students in managing nuclear reactors, with both schools hoping to expand their connection to the nuclear industry. And tonight, thousands of kids will be trick-or-treating. We spoke with Yakima Sheriff's Department to get some tips and advice on how to stay safe this Halloween holiday. There are safety measures parents can take for their kids' costumes to ensure a safe night. Like making sure there are no tripping or fall hazards, wearing something reflective so people with cars can see them, and making sure that you can see out of the costumes that have masks associated with them. We caught up with the public information officer for the sheriff's office, who shed some more light on regarding Halloween safety.
The Terrace Heights area and the West Valley area are very busy areas to go to. So is the historic district in Yakima on Yakima Avenue and Chestnut. Those are very, very busy places. Yeah, it's important to check your kids' candy. You never know what somebody might inadvertently put in there. Nowadays there's gummies and things like that aren't necessarily candy and good for children. Mistakes do happen, and I seriously doubt it's going to be intentional, but you should definitely pay attention to what you have.
Now, drivers are urged to be extra cautious when driving in neighborhoods. Drive at least a few miles an hour under the speed limit, say officials, to prepare yourself for any kids that may run into the street. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan to talk the weather for today. We talked a couple of tips on how to stay safe for visual purposes, but
sure.
As the temperatures get cooler, you might want to bundle up under that costume.
Yeah, you might want to wear an extra layer underneath that costume for sure. It is going to be a cool afternoon, which of course is going to yield to a cool evening. For today, for this afternoon, you should anticipate cloudy skies overhead with temperatures that are running about 10 degrees cooler than normal. Highs today in the Tri-Cities will likely only crest into the upper 40s. I would say upper 40s seem appropriate for the Yakima Valley today. Mid to upper 40s in the Kittitas Valley with daytime highs in the upper 40s for the Blue Mountain foothills. Again, everybody looking at mostly cloudy skies overhead, just maybe some sun breaks here and there. Now let's talk about this evening. Of course, it is Halloween. Lots of activities will be taking place this evening, trick-or-treating, parties, and I'm sure scary movie nights too. Here's a look at what you can expect this evening. We are going to be looking at a chance of showers rolling into Yakima by about 8 p.m., maybe just a few sprinkles here and there. Better shower chances rolling into Yakima by 10 p.m. tonight with these temperatures in the 40s. For the Tri-Cities, we will be staying dry through the evening, but again, looking at those mostly cloudy skies with those temperatures in the 40s. Now let's talk about what's to come with the Storm Tracker Futurecast. I'm first going to stop this right around 8 o'clock tonight, and you can see some of those showers trying to work into parts of Kittitas and Yakima counties as the rest of our region does stay dry. Now, one more note I would like to make about this Halloween holiday. If you have plans this evening along and west of the Cascades, please just be advised that west of the Cascades will be getting absolutely soaked this evening. Now, as we do go into tomorrow, there's going to be a good chance of widespread showers around the inland northwest. Wind is also going to be pretty strong on Saturday. Sunday will be a dry day, but then as we go into Monday, we are going to have additional shower chances rolling through our general forecast area. Now let's talk about the winds. I mentioned that Saturday is going to be quite the windy day. In the Tri-Cities, we could see winds on Saturday gusting as high as 40 miles per hour. Walla Walla will be looking at winds on Saturday gusting up to 35 miles per hour. And for Ellensburg, we could be looking at winds gusting to 40 miles per hour with 40 mile per hour gusts in Pendleton as well. So if you have Halloween decorations out, I would recommend maybe taking those down early in the day on Saturday so they don't blow away. As we go into Sunday, you can see that winds are going to be staying blustery around the area. Some of us seeing gusts as high as 20 to 25 miles per hour. But again, the winds on Sunday certainly not as strong as the wind on Saturday. If you're going out trick-or-treating tonight, just be aware of some of those raindrops that potentially could work in late this evening, but otherwise just have fun and of course stay safe. Right now I'm going to toss it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. We're going to shift over to some road work news. Costs to rebuild the Bullfrog Road overpass on I-90 will top $8 million. That's according to state officials. Governor Bob Ferguson declared a state of emergency in Kittitas County after the bridge was struck by a semi-truck earlier this month, and this allowed the state to seek federal funding for the reconstruction. All lanes for Exit 80 were reopened after demolition efforts were completed last week, and the design for the new temporary overpass is already in the works. And officials say an emergency contractor will begin construction after the design is complete. Day 31 and still no end in sight for the government shutdown as Republicans and Democrats mostly stick to their talking points as thousands of federal workers miss paychecks. Funding for SNAP expires tomorrow, affecting some 42 million Americans, and health care premiums are about to rise. The arguments are becoming familiar. Democrats won't vote to open the government until Republicans renew health care subsidies. Republicans say open the government now and we'll talk about the subsidies later. We caught up with Washington Senator Patty Murray, who says Republican leadership is refusing to even discuss the impasse.
I am frustrated because the Republican leadership have not even picked up the phone to call our leadership to sit down and talk about this. That is not how you find compromises, by not talking. Period. End of story.
Senator Murray adds that Democrats have been bringing up the health care subsidies since as early as February of this year. Meanwhile, Republican leadership say a clean continuing resolution to open the government is the only solution they will accept.
Senate Democrats have chosen to shut down the government over a totally clean, nonpartisan CR. It's the first time in the history of this country, that any party has done that, has had the audacity to shut the government down over a totally clean, nonpartisan funding measure.
Now, the longest government shutdown in history is 35 days, and we are now less than a week from breaking that record. Meanwhile, this week, with this weekend's effects looming, the lingering government shutdown now at that 1 month mark, KIMA's Aidan Connor spoke with a former White House economic assistant to talk how Yakima County and the Evergreen State could be affected as it continues.
Former assistant to the president for economic policy, Michael Negron, says that Yakima County is poised to be hit hard if SNAP benefits were to be shut down.
You have just a huge number of people who depend upon SNAP to just make ends meet, to pay for food, to put food on the table. And with this lapse in authorization, if Congress really in the next weak, can't figure out a solution to the impasse over the shutdown, you're going to see EBT cards run dry.
Approximately 28% of Yakima residents rely on SNAP benefits, which is more than double the 12% national average, according to a release from the governor's office.
That means that the businesses in the community will also see a major impact. Nationally, about 12% of grocery store revenue is from SNAP beneficiaries, but that number can be as high as 50%.
Negron says that the root of the issue lies in Washington, D.C., with the tariffs put into place by the Trump administration.
And it's happening at the same time as families are struggling with the impacts of tariffs on the things that they buy, as the healthcare premium tax credits for Obamacare are about to expire and essentially result in a doubling of premiums for, on average, for Americans in that program. So there's a lot of things that aren't good that are coming over the next few weeks because of what's going on in Washington.
When Obamacare benefits expire this year, Negron says that people will begin to notice a difference when shopping for health care.
There's about 24 million Americans that are enrolled in the Obamacare exchanges, about 290,000 in Washington state, and it has made healthcare more affordable to millions of Americans. Millions of small businesses benefit from the Affordable Care Act, and those premium tax credits are an important part of it.
While the effects of a potential shutdown on SNAP and healthcare benefits are yet to be seen, approximately 42 million Americans and 28% of Yakima County patiently await the aftermath. Reporting for Action News, I'm Aiden Connor.
KIMA's Aiden Connor, thank you. And on to some election coverage this morning as work week separates us from Election Day. Esperanza Lemos is running for Yakima School Board Position 1, and if elected, she plans on finding ways to help fund the lower income schools.
My experience will help shape my perspective. First of all, as a regular classroom teacher, one of my positions was kindergarten. I worked in the lower Yakima Valley in the Granger School District. It was very evident as a brand new teacher in the classroom that my supplies were limited, my curriculum was limited, not necessarily because they weren't dedicated to student learning, but of the funds that were being available at that time. Special education. I have been a special education teacher, as I explained. My son, late son, was born with physical disabilities, and so I also know that as a parent. Special ed is funded very poorly across the state.
Now, Esperanza's opponent in this race, Pam Shelton, has previously interviewed with KIMA. All of the complete interviews with all of the candidates who took part can be found up on our YouTube channel. That's at KIMA Action News. However, don't forget that the polls close on Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. If you have not yet returned your ballot, you should do so soon. And don't forget that Yakima mail is no longer being processed locally. So if you wait until Monday to return your ballot, it is better to use a local ballot box rather than the U.S. Postal Service. Amid all of the drama in Sunnyside, though, a local 13-year-old proposed a proclamation in October that unanimously passed in the Sunnyside City Council. John Franklin caught up with her and has her story.
And whereas the City of Sunnyside joins the nation in promoting prevention, early detection, equitable care, and continued research, now therefore I, Dean Broersma, Mayor of the City of Sunnyside, Washington, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the State of Washington and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Aliciana Aguirre has been passionate about breast cancer awareness, even to the point of requesting a proclamation from the City of Sunnyside.
Well, I made up a proclamation because I want to bring more awareness, because if people can be more aware of it and get earlier detection, it can save a lot of lives. And so I was like, well, let's see if we can get a proclamation passed in the City of Sunnyside, and hopefully it'll be able to reach out to other cities to follow up and do the same.
Aguirre is a Queens for a Cure and has been using her position to raise awareness for the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center after a close family member spent decades fighting the disease.
My aunt is a 30-year breast cancer survivor and was one of the first in the research projects. So doing Queens for a Cure is very close to me, and so that's one of the reasons why I do it.
Mayor Dean Broersma has nothing but shining words about Aguirre, which he was proud to say at the council's latest meeting.
And I do want to thank Ms. Aguirre. She did a lot of work in getting this ready to present. What I read was a lot of her work. And so I want to honor that. I have told her that I'm keeping an eye on her. Sometime I expect her to be sitting up here on this dais with the gavel in her hand. I have high expectations for her. I think she has an opportunity and she's got a great future here in the city of Sunnyside should you wish to stay here. So
Aguirre is hoping that her actions have a ripple effect in the future.
I'm just hoping that maybe in the future they do, and maybe next year in October a lot of other towns will decide to make it a proclamation too.
For Action News, I'm John Franklin.
And you guys should want to check this out. A former Seahawk is in the Tri-Cities inspiring local kids and helping raise money for the Boys and Girls Club. Former NFL player Jermaine Kearse visited the Kennewick Boys and Girls Club yesterday for a Dinner with Friends fundraiser. The visit had a tailgate theme and gave teens a chance to meet Kearse, who grew up as a Boys and Girls Club member himself. He says mentors there shaped his life, and he hopes to do the same for the next generation.
It takes a village, you know, around you in life in general, and I think that's what the Boys and Girls Club, for me as a youth, it did for me. And it's just be able to surround myself with great people, great mentors, a lot of support, a lot of love. I think that's very important in our youth now, you know, especially just with a lot that's going on in society.
One of the club teens we spoke to say she was in awe when she got the chance to see Kearse in person.
When we got off the van, he was already like walking in. It was like shocking. I was like, no way, that's Jermaine. And then when I got the signature, I was hyped, to be honest.
Now, Kearse was the keynote speaker at last night's fundraising dinner, encouraging donations to help more local kids succeed. And finally, yesterday, Yakima Valley College hosted their second annual Halloween Fest for students and visitors to enjoy some spooky fun. The event was held inside of their Hope Union building and attracted over 300 students. The Halloween Fest was put together by Student Life, a program at Yakima Valley College. We spoke with the manager of Student Life, Carla Rabin, who explained the event and their goals.
So this is our annual Halloween Fest. It's an event that we started doing last year, and so we do it every Halloween now. We try to get students to come out and participate. We always have free food, games, prizes, activities, and club involvement and overall student involvement. The goal is to get students to come and have fun. I know here at YVC it's mainly about academics, but we also want our students to get involved with student life, with other students, to take a little break from academics and classes and just come and relax and have fun for a little bit.
Now, one of Halloween Fest's biggest improvements was getting more clubs involved. They doubled the amount compared to last year's event. And that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites. That's Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a fantastic Halloween, everybody.